Greetings! I am Herbert Erpaderp, and today I'm going to make some zombies. In particular, I'm making some zombies from Warlord's zombie miniatures game, Project Z, or Z if you're an American, which I've had a look at before in 2017, but it seems like they've recently released it. From what I understand, the rules have changed ever so slightly for clarity, but the rest of the box contents are the same. So if the box set is still available when you see this video, everything should be the same as it was back in the old days. So if you want to check out an ancient video about what's in this box, I'll link that in the description below. Today I'll only be looking at the male zombie sprue. There is also a female zombie sprue, and I'll probably put those together fairly soon too. I had actually been feeling like painting some zombies or something like that, and I happened to see an email from Warlord about this game, which reminded me that I had this box.
You're waffling, Herbert.
Yeah, I guess I am, aren't I? Let's have a quick look at the sprue. There's quite a lot on here, enough to make 11 zombies. The moulding is rather good here. There's a lot of nice details like bits of ripped flesh and bones and other stuff you would expect to see on a zombie. Nice might not really be the right word, but it's quite neat and very well done. There are some mould lines, of course, which are kind of heavy in some areas, so there is going to be some work needed to remove those. I was actually impressed with the hands in this kit. They must have been very careful with these. There are barely any mould lines on the hands, which would be the most annoying part to remove them from. At the same time, the hands are quite well detailed, with nice fine fingers. Much better than you would see on, say, bolt action figures. You'll also notice there's a good variety of heads, most of which can be used on any of the bodies, though some of them certainly fit particular bodies better than others. There's a lot of cool stuff in this kit, and I think there's going to be some leftover zombie bits, which, with a little bit of creativity, could be used as decorations for the bases. Speaking of bases, this sprue has got some. Not enough for all of the models, but close enough. Well, not close enough at all really. You do need a base for every figure. Fortunately, the box does include another sprue of bases. What it doesn't include, though, is instructions. I was able to find this diagram and another one for the females on the Warlord store. It's kind of small though, but it is helpful. It shows you which of the various parts are intended for which body. At first glance, I would have assumed that they could be used in any combination, and they probably could, but they might look a bit inconsistent, so I decided to follow these instructions. Anyway, enough of that, let's eat some brains and glue some plastic together. First up, I decided to do this chonky zombie, who I guess was in hospital when he was infected. Sucks to be him, I guess. I glue the right arm on and nudge it a bit, so it's in what looks to me like the correct position. I don't think any of these arms have a 100% absolute correct position, but you can tell that they do have a small range of positioning where they look right and have minimal gaps. The fit I got here is okay, but there is certainly going to have to be some filling done. Next, I capitate the fellow.
That's not a word.
Is now. This is the only head in the set that has a specific body it's meant to be matched up with, and after a bit of nudging, it seems to fit pretty well, though he doesn't look very happy about it. Next, the left arm, which conveniently comes with an IV stand. I thought this was really cool, and that's why I chose to do this guy first. We need to add the bottom of the stand, which is easy enough to do, and then that assembly attaches to the body like any other arm would. It's just that this one is holding a stand. I think I got the fit pretty good, but I decided it was a good idea to use the work surface to make sure things line up really good, and that the IV stand isn't being held up in the air. That's one zombie done, and I think it looks rather good. The next one I chose to do is this fellow, who seems to have decayed quite a bit, and also looks to have been the unfortunate victim of some kind of vehicle. The assembly process is pretty much the same as the other zombie, and unsurprisingly, all of the other zombies to come. But in this case, there's some choice in the arms, which is nice. I chose the arm that'll make it look like he's kind of pushing himself up. And again, I've used the work surface to make sure things line up nice and neat. Looking good so far, time for a head. I chose this head because out of all of them, it looks the most like he's laughing. And I think laughing fits this zombie the most. He's quite squished, but he's got a positive outlook on life. Or unlife? I don't know. I just think it looks funny, and that's what matters to me. The right arm is a bit weird, and I guess this guy is a bit of a contortionist. It goes on easily enough, though it did take me a bit of fiddling to get it to look natural. Natural as in it fits the body without any weird gaps, and not natural as in this is how an arm usually is. You know what I mean. The head didn't quite seem to fit perfectly with the right arm, but I was adamant about keeping this head instead of trying one that might fit a bit better, so it does look a tiny bit weird, but I like it. I think this is my favourite of them all. It's just interesting and different to the rest, and it seems as though it's laughing, which is kind of creepy, and just makes it all that much better. This next guy is a little bit less interesting, I feel, but I really liked the arm holding the decapitated head, so I wanted to use it. And by decapitated, I mean brutally and messily torn from the body and not neatly cut off with some sort of implement. Gross. This arm seems a bit weird where it joins the torso, and I think that's because this guy is wearing a vest. Maybe it's a very thick vest. This particular body gets a choice of 2 arms for each side, and I wanted the right to match the left, so I used this one. It has the same odd look as the other side, in that the shoulder of the fleshy bits is quite a bit lower than the shoulder of the vest, and it's a bit exaggerated to what it would look like in real life, but that's fine really. That is what happens in wargaming miniatures anyway. Again, we can choose any of the heads, except of course for the ones that we've already used. I chose this one because it looks like it's having a bit of a yell, and that seems like something a zombie would do. I built one more of these on stream, and I figure why not show it in the video too. It goes together pretty much exactly the same way as the rest of them, which I've mentioned before, so you probably won't be surprised to hear that. This one is pretty cool, and it looks like he's had a bit of a mischief and his intestines have become exposed. The rest of the bodies are a little bit less interesting, but what I think will make those interesting is the arm options. There's only one arm choice for this figure.
It looks like he's got 2 arms, Herbert.
Very funny. I mean, one choice of arm for either side. And again, I gave him a shouty head. These zombies were quite fun to put together, and I got a few chuckles thinking about the various combinations that could be made. Also, the assembly is quite easy, and there weren't really any issues in getting the parts to go together, which in my opinion adds to the fun. I did follow the instructions, and the result is some good-looking zombies, but I'm sure if you really wanted you could mix and match bits against what the instructions tell you without too many problems. At worst, you might have to use some putty to make the zombies look more consistent, and really, you're almost certainly going to have to get the putty out anyway, or at least I am, so I don't think that's too much of an issue. I do plan to paint these relatively soon, which in reality is probably not going to be all that soon, and I think this is going to be a long, slow kind of project, but that's okay. I think it's going to be fun and I'll get to do some interesting things. I've never painted zombies before, so it'll be something new and different. Of course, there are other things in my paint queue, and I'm a really slow painter because I want to enjoy painting rather than being rushed for no reason, so if you want to see these done, you'll have to be patient. I'm thinking about building the female zombies before I start painting as well, so I can do them all in one big batch. At least for the skin anyway. I think that should probably at least be a bit consistent. So what I'm trying to say is they will be painted, just don't go holding your breath. So the models are good, and they go together well. If you've built any of Warlord's figures for bolt action or what have you, you'll have a pretty good idea of how these go together. I think, if anything, the moulding is a little bit better than what I've seen on bolt action figures, mostly around the hands. They're remarkably good on these figures. I guess it is kind of a prominent feature though, with the zombies reaching and clawing and such, so it does make sense that they might put a bit more care into that. That is just me making assumptions though. I don't know much about the game, I don't usually read or really care about the rules until the time I'm actually going to play comes about, because I'm just going to forget them anyway, so I can't really tell you about the game. Like I said at the start of the video, there's a couple of ancient videos I made about this game, the box contents, and I think I put together some survivors, and I also did a video about the motorcycle gang. Check those out if you want a blast from the past. The link is in the description. It's also worth mentioning that I am in fact a Warlord Games affiliate, so if you want to be really cool and help a Herbert Erpaderp do whatever a Herbert Erpaderp does at no expense to yourself, you could purchase this game from Warlord using my affiliate link and I would get a small kickback. That would be awfully nice of you. The affiliate link is in the description as well. If you've got any questions or comments, feel free to put them in the comments section below. If you want to watch me build kits like this live, I stream a couple of times a week over on Twitch, and the link is in the description. And if you've not already done so, why not follow or subscribe for free? Or if you have the means, and you want to help me do the things I do and see my videos a bit early, consider becoming a patron. And if you're feeling really helpful, why not share this video with your friends and family and anybody you think might get something out of it. You can find links to all of my things like Patreon and social media in the description below. And, as always, I shall return soon. So, until then, be excellent to each other, refrain from eating each other's brains, have a nice day, and thanks for watching. Farewell.